good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Smriti Kumar, and I'm product manager on the platform ingestion side here at Palo Alto Networks. And I'm working towards providing the best cloud security posture to Prisma Cloud customers. Today, specifically, I'm going to talk about Prisma Cloud support for the fifth largest public cloud provider, OCI, aka Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So before we get into the presentation, just a quick look at the safe harbor statement. Another quick disclaimer here. So we know Prisma Cloud is a cloud native security platform that enables everything from cloud security posture management to cloud workload protection, cloud network security, and also cloud infrastructure entitlement management. So it's a bigger umbrella when we talk about Prisma Cloud. But today specifically, I'll be covering the visibility, compliance, and governance aspect of Prisma Cloud for Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. A quick look at the agenda for today. We will start with why Prisma Cloud for OCI, and we'll transition into the offerings that we have on the CSPM side for OCI customers on Prisma Cloud. A sneak peek into the OCI compliance and policies, and we'll spend a good amount of time on the product demo and then open it up for Q&A. In between, as Dara said, there will be a few poll questions that will basically help us gather some information, and it is a private poll, so any information that you share there will be with me and Dara. So I encourage you to participate and help us with your responses. These will be really critical in making the product meet the exact requirements you are looking for in your CSPM today and for the future on OCI side. So with that, I will get started. You will see the first poll question now. And I'll give you a couple of minutes. Dara, let me know when we have a response and we are good to go.
Yep, Smriti, we can keep this poll up as you go through your presentation. So I'll keep this perfect.
That's perfect. I'll go in. So starting with why Prisma Cloud CSPM for Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, right? So we know that the broad adoption of cloud services have actually enabled one cultural shift that needs to happen in the way we perceive security. And in a recent research that was conducted by Oracle Cloud team, about 89% of the participants shared that at least half of their cloud resident data is sensitive. And that is where the shared responsibility model comes into picture. A lot of times, due to confusion over the cloud security model, we have seen that many subscribers, many customers deprovision one or more cloud services, which is not good, right? It is essential that we understand and be fluent on how the service providers share the responsibility of securing the cloud footprint. So the red stack here that you see is the Oracle controlled, and Oracle ensures the security of their cloud infrastructure, but the white stack is what is basically a subscriber or customer's responsibility. So even explicitly, Oracle calls out that the subscribers need to maintain the ultimate responsibility of configuration. So any misconfiguration when you start using the Oracle Cloud services, that is staying with the subscriber. A customer has to ensure that the configurations are in the right way, following the right compliance standards. Also, securing the data that also resides with the customer or the subscriber, that is another aspect of the shared responsibility in the cloud providers infrastructure. And other than that, the security of full stack overall is a shared responsibility. As you just see here, up to the infrastructure, it's the Oracle's responsibility, and then beyond the OS and everything that you spin up till the application becomes a customer's or subscriber's responsibility. And I want to pause there and just emphasize that this is exactly where we come into picture with Prisma Cloud, and specifically the cloud security posture management capabilities that we are bringing in for OCI. So as we are into the era where the lines of business self-provision on SaaS, and there's even a single lack of attention on the privilege management can actually result into unauthorized access to the data. So it's essential that we have complete visibility into the infrastructure, and there is a capability to identify what are the misconfigurations and the compliance standards that we are missing out. For example, CIS, the Center of Internet Security Compliance for OCI specifically. So that's where the CSPM becomes important for Oracle Cloud Infrastructure customers. A lot of teams working with Oracle Cloud are either lifting and shifting the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure or application components from on-prem to cloud. These application teams are new to cloud, and it is important that we have a configuration management and a security posture in place. So that is where the Prisma Cloud for OCI kicks in. And to introduce you to what we are going to offer as part of this release, which is 21.2.2, we are going to have OCI tenant onboarding capability along with other 4 clouds that are already there. Now you will see an option to pick up Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. The onboarding is pretty straightforward. There are a couple of details you need to fetch from your Oracle Cloud tenancy or the Oracle Cloud account and feed in here. And on the fly, you get a Prisma Cloud user created and a group and an underlying policy, which has certain set of permissions that you need to provide for Prisma Cloud user. And all of this is for the audit purpose. All the read access is what Prisma Cloud user access needs from you. Once you go through a couple of steps, there's a Terraform template that gets generated. And this is something we'll cover even when we go into the demo in detail, what exactly we have to do on the Prisma Cloud side versus what we have to do on the Oracle Cloud side. And this helps you with the cloud account onboarding of your Oracle Cloud infrastructure into Prisma Cloud. Once you have onboarded the Oracle Cloud account on Prisma Cloud, this is how the communication between these 2 entities happen. All read and inspect policies, that's what we ask for when it is a Prisma Access user. And once we have those policies in place, the API-based authentication kicks in. The user is authorized based on the policy statements that we have written as part of that Terraform template. And then REST API calls start happening, and there is service ingestion. And there are services and APIs that we try and ingest to check the configuration on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure end. Looking at certain supported services and certain APIs that we have started in Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So we've started with the 8 most famous Oracle Cloud services. IAM, compute, networking, all 3 storages, notification, and events are covered as part of this release. And along with these 8 services, we are ingesting about 16 APIs, which actually help with the misconfiguration management on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. And here is a snippet on the right-hand side of how it looks once you have ingested or onboarded an Oracle Cloud account. You will get to see the underlying services and the total number of passed and failed configuration as per the policies. A quick question again about your usage of services when it comes to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. Apart from what you saw in the previous screen, what are the other services that you are using actively on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure? Sorry, the poll keeps coming on my screen as well. So let's give it a minute. I know there is some services that you might have to just go over and read in that. You can actually select multiple if it is applicable to your scenario. While everybody is feeding in their answers, I will move further ahead. Apart from the ingestion services, there are certain capabilities that I want to talk about when it comes to CSPM that we offer even with Oracle Cloud. One of the things is that you keep hearing and is the integral part of the whole CSPM capability is the out of the box policies, which are specific to a cloud platform. So with this release, we are releasing about 40 out of the box policies, which are specific to OCI. And all these policies reside in the config bucket of logs. So we are ingesting config service today, and we are supporting these 40 policies across the config events or the config service from Oracle Cloud. You have the RQL support the way you have it today for other cloud platforms. Reporting, alerting, dashboard, and other CSPM features that are supported in other cloud platforms are supported in OCI as well, without any parity. It is same across all cloud platforms. And that is the beauty of the CSPM here, that you get to have a similar experience monitoring different cloud platforms. Apart from that, all the existing integration channels, be it Jira, Splunk, ServiceNow, everything that you have or you see in Prisma Cloud today is supported even for Oracle Cloud Alerts. And in terms of the compliance standard, with this release, we are compliant with CIS for OCI version 1.0 and 1.1, 1.1 being the latest. And we are continuously keeping our policies up to date with the latest CIS compliance standards. Talking about things that are supported, it is also crucial with the customers having some experience on Prisma Cloud itself with other clouds. It's important to call out things which are not supported as of today. So Prisma Cloud is supported on all stacks except for China and government stacks. So if your tenancy resides in China or government stacks, you will not be able to see Oracle Cloud account onboarding screen. China, there's no region for OCI, and that's the reason we don't have that supported on that stack. And government and federal, we are looking forward to the requirements there, and if there's a need, we'll definitely look forward to support it on that stack. As I called out that we have config event support, config logs is what we are ingesting. It's important to call out that audit events and network flow logs are not ingested as part of this release. This is something we will consider in future. Given that network flow logs are not ingested today, network anomaly threat detection is not possible with OCI as of this release. Also, we don't have the auto remediation capabilities for OCI specific policies today. That is something that we are considering in future. So that is the list of the services that we do not support today. That will bring me to another important question that you might see on your screens now. While everybody is trying to fill in their responses for this question, I will move on and talk about the OCI compliance and the policies that we are trying to cover here. So when it comes to the compliance coverage, as I said, we are trying to keep it to the latest versions of CIS. So we support CIS version 1.0 and 1.1 for OCI. And this is how you will be seeing the compliance coverage specifically for OCI. It's a snapshot of how I see it for my OCI account, and you'll get a glimpse of how many configurations are failing versus how many are passing for OCI specifically. Talking about compliance standard, you will see another question. It's important to understand, apart from CIS, what are the other standards that are crucial for your Oracle Cloud Infrastructure workloads and the kind of industry you are in. And if there is a compliance standard that you do not see in the list and is there on top of your mind and is crucial for you, please feel free to put it in chat. You can unicast it just to the panelists. Perfect. A quick glimpse on the policies, and we'll also look at it when we go into the demo. So once you onboard your cloud infrastructure account, you will get to see these 40 out of the box policies across those 8 services, spanning across IAM, object storage. You see a lot of event rule and notification not existing for certain changes. All that is being captured, which covers maximum of CIS compliance that we are looking at for Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. With that, I will quickly move into the demo. So I've logged into my Prisma Cloud account. To start with, let's start with the first things first, which is looking at the cloud accounts and trying to onboard Oracle Cloud tenancy. When you click on a new cloud account, adding a new cloud account, you will see Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, and you can follow the steps, like basic things like cloud account name, which is specific to identify your cloud account in Prisma Cloud. This is not something that you need to fetch from Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. In the interest of time and to give you more details, let me take an example of an existing cloud account which has been onboarded and show you what are the steps that actually go in. So here is one example of a QA account that we have tried to onboard with Prisma Cloud. I provided a generic name just to identify my cloud account here, Prisma QA2. Then we come to the next screen, which is asking about certain details that we need to fetch from Oracle Cloud. 2 things actually, which are crucial for us to fetch from Oracle Cloud. One being the tenant or root OCID. If you're familiar with Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, everything has an Oracle Cloud identifier, and that is the ID that we are looking for here. When we call out root or tenant OCID, this information you can find out from governance and administration, and you have to go to identity and compartments. On the top, for each Oracle Cloud account, there's a root tenancy or the root compartment. You just need to copy this information and feed in here. Once you've done that, the second important thing to fetch specific to your Oracle Cloud account is the home region. So every Oracle Cloud account has a home region associated to it. So you need to feed in that information. Pick it up from Oracle Cloud account as it is and give it here. These 2 things are specific to Oracle Cloud. You need to fetch that information from there. Apart from that, we ask for a username, group name, and policy. So following the Oracle Cloud nomenclature or the IAM nomenclature in OCI, there is a user which is associated to a group, and that group has certain policies associated with it. So we are trying to create a user for Prisma Cloud to have read and inspect access on your Oracle tenancy, which you just provided here. So this is something you can just provide the names for, and this will be created on the fly for you in the next steps. Once you've provided that information, you have option to download it, which makes our life easier in terms of onboarding an Oracle Cloud account. Once you click on download, it has actually taken into consideration all the tenant details that you provided in the previous steps, and it has formed a Terraform file with all the required configuration that you need to basically now run in your resource manager under Oracle Cloud Stacks. Let me give you a quick view of how this Terraform template looks like. So this is how that file is going to look like, which you would have downloaded now at this step. Quickly looking at the policy statements that we are trying to have access to. So we have all the read permissions and some inspect volume permissions in the tenancy to basically allow the Prisma Cloud user to query Oracle Cloud configurations and report if there is any misconfiguration in your cloud account and infrastructure. So all these permissions are actually finely tuned and we have taken into consideration the Oracle Cloud security team, security architects, and their recommendations. And we've tried to keep it minimal so that we don't go beyond a certain set of read permissions for Oracle Cloud. So once you download the Terraform template, which looked something like what I showed just now, these are the steps that you have to follow. I'll just quickly walk through what exactly we do there. So under solutions and platform, you have to go into resource manager and land into stacks. All you have to do is create a stack and select the zip file, which is mentioned in the steps. That is the zip file that you would have downloaded from here. So this zip terraform.zip, this is what you have to upload here. Give it a name and just move on to the next steps. Then you have to do one final step, which is you have to apply the Terraform action. And that takes care of actually provisioning the user on Oracle Cloud side. Once you're through with that step, you will get to see the status of ingestion. Once you have given all the permissions, you have the user created, Prisma Cloud basically ingests all the compartments, underlying compartments within your tenancy and the config service to take care of config events and config logs and check the misconfigurations in your cloud account. So this is the onboarding procedure. This is level 1 view for Oracle Cloud. If you go into the second level, which is L2, you will actually get to see all the compartments that you have ingested as part of this cloud account onboarding. And by compartment, I mean these Oracle Cloud compartments that you have under your tenancy. Apart from root, whatever you have, everything else, including root, will be ingested here and will be shown up on this page. Now, there can be a situation wherein you don't want to monitor certain compartments. For example, there's a managed compartment for PaaS that gets created with Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. If you're using certain PaaS services, you have a default compartment in your Oracle tenancy for that. And that is something that Oracle controls. Misconfiguration on that, you won't be able to control it, like block volume, backups, etc. Is taken by Oracle, and you might not have visibility, right? So in that case, you can disable monitoring for those compartments. That is just an example. Apart from that, if there are other compartments that you're not interested in monitoring, maybe it is for the QA or the other purpose in the organization, then you can very well go here at L2 view and disable the monitoring on those compartments. And you will not be charged for those compartments. So that is about the cloud account onboarding. The second step, once I have onboarded my account, I would be curious to know what all assets, what are the resources that I have ingested as part of this onboarding. So very easy to find out. You have to go to the inventory assets and just click on OCI as the cloud type. You will see the list of those 8 services. If you have everything in your Oracle Cloud tenancy, you will get to see here, and the corresponding configuration checks that we ran and how many checks passed versus how many checks failed in your Oracle Cloud infrastructure. Once you get these numbers, you navigate the way you do it to basically look at the audit trail for any other cloud. So you get to see the related alerts, the resources for which we are getting the flags, and you can further go and investigate at the resource level. That is something that you already do for other cloud platforms. This is something you can do on Oracle Cloud as well with these 8 services. Investigation with the RQLs, specifically config related RQLs, is something that you can run for OCI. So you will basically say cloud type equal to OCI. This is another addition to RQL, and now you can query everything that you have in OCI that you're interested in using the resource query language. Moving on to policies, when you filter with the cloud type again, you will be able to see some OCI specific policies, and these are the 40 out of the box policies that I'm talking about. Apart from that, you might be able to create custom policies on top of it based on your use case, and you will see the total count for OCI specifically here. And each policy, we have the details like which compliance standard are we supporting. So same way you can see here for OCI, we have version 1.0 and 1.1 mapping for each of the policy that we support. Now talking about the compliance standard on OCI's front, we have CIS version 1.0 and 1.1. You can specifically filter it out and look at how many percentage of configurations are actually passing these standards, and you can download the reports the way you do for other cloud platforms. Same way, no change, everything remains same for OCI as well to give you a seamless experience. On the alert front, you can create an alert rule. Make sure to add Oracle Cloud account when you're trying to create the alert rule. And all the notification channels that work today for other cloud will work for OCI as well. So you can send your alert notifications to a SQS or to any other channel, be it email or Jira, etc. There's no change. We support everything for OCI as well. Now, one very important thing to note specifically for OCI in terms of licensing, if you want to find out how many credits you are consuming specifically for OCI, for this release, we've tried to keep it very simple. When you click on OCI after coming to licensing page, you will see only compute instance is the billable resource. So that is the parameter that we check and we charge our customers on today. Because of the nature of services that we ingest, compute is the billable one today. As we move forward and based on the services that we add. If we are adding a load balancer or a web application firewall, we might be introducing other credits, and then things will get complex. Today, it's pretty straightforward, just compute instance, and that is what you are charged upon, although you are monitoring other services apart from compute. So that brings me to the end of demo. Moving back to the presentation, a quick glimpse on the overall security posture with Prisma Cloud. Although we covered only the CSPM aspect of it, I want to leave you with this thought, and also urge you to reach out to different teams via your CS contacts if you have a complete security requirement on OCI. So we do have CSPM, which I talked about. We do have CWPP and network security on Oracle Cloud supported as well today. So it's a comprehensive solution that we provide as Prisma Cloud platform. Because we support multi-cloud, not only OCI, we are supporting other 4 major cloud providers as well. This platform is comprehensive, and it can support any cloud and any type of workload. So we do support the full life cycle in terms of IIC scanning for Terraform, and that is widely used on Oracle Cloud infrastructure. So if you have any other requirements in these areas as well for OCI specifically, please do reach out to CS, and we'll be happy to help further with your security posture on Oracle Cloud infrastructure. With that, you will see one more question on the poll, and I promise that's the last one for today. Please feed in your answers there. That's very important for us to understand, especially with Oracle Cloud infrastructure workloads. What exactly are you looking at from CSPM perspective? Thank you so much for your feedback on that. And with that, I will open the floor for Q&A. And let's start taking some questions, Dara.
Great.